Okay, so today is the session number 10 of second semester on braided fusion category paper. So yesterday we started what? Section 424 about disequivalentization of tensor categories. So in fact, we already described several times the disequivalentization, but in particular in the previous proof. To get the inverse of the equivalentization, we presented some construction, which is disequivalentization using rep G in rich category. But Bruguière and Huger provided another construction using the module over the regular algebra. This is this alternative we will present now. You take a finite group, you take this category of representation, or equivalently, you start from a Tannakian category equipped with a fiber functor, and you take G to be the automorphism group of the fiber functors. Okay. Now, you take let D be a Carobian tensor category over E. Carobian tensor category over E. So let A denote the regular algebra in rep G. So the algebra of function on G. So the algebra of function on G, which is an object of the category of representation, because G acts by left translation. Okay. So by definition, D is a tensor category over E. So by definition, there is a tensor functor between rep G and the Drinfeld center of E. So in particular, so if you start, so you have A, which is there, and this, you have the forgetful functor to D. So A, there you can have an image of A here, which can act on D by taking the tensor product of the image of A via this composition of map. And so it makes sense to consider A module in D. Allow us to consider A module in D. So the object in D, which are stable by the tensor product, by the image of E via this composition, so A module, up to isomorphism. So denote by D index G the category of A module in D. Now, so that is not new. That's not new. What is new in this section is that we need a tensor structure. So we need a tensor structure on D index G. So this category acquiert a tensor structure via pointeur and here I will have to explain a little bit. So in fact, there is, if here the category D is not considered abelian, it's a tensor category, but in the sense of this paper, which means I forgot. K-linear, K-linear monoidal category may not be abelian. So in the abelian case, it makes sense to consider tensor product with respect to of a module using the construction of co-equalizer, which requires the notion of co-kernel, which exists in an abelian category. But here it's not, so it's a little bit, in fact, we can assume it is abelian. It's okay, but they said that you can. So in fact, it was not completely clear to me. So because it's not abelian, I need to define the A module construction, tensor product of A module, in this way. So I will try to explain a little bit something, but in my opinion, it's better just to, in my understanding, better to assume D to be abelian or abelian. It's a true tensor category in the usual sense, and then you have no problem. But let me recall something. So the tensor product of A module usually require abelian structure to make co-equalizer, which can be seen as a universal property. We will mention universal property later. That's why I wrote here as follow. So in general, so let M1 be your right A module. Let M2Q your left A module. P and Q are the A-module morphism. You define the, the tensor product with respect to A. So you take M tensor A, tensor M2. So here, this tensor are tensor in our example, tensor in D. So but this A is the image of A with respect to the composition of all. You have A here, you take the forgetful functor, you are in D. So the image here, this is what you are doing here. So, or you can say this is the tensor structure for the module as a module. Okay, and then you have two possibilities here. First possibility, you reduce by the left or by the right. So first by the left or by the right. Wait. So M, maybe I wrote M1 is a right A module. Yeah, it's okay. So M1 is a right A module. So you apply the right A module morphism and the identity for the other. And you get M1 tensor M2. But you can also apply identity for M1 and the left A module for M2. And you get the same object. And so here the co-equalizer is what is this construction? In fact, you consider the co-equalizer the co-kernel of the morphism P identity M2 minus identity of M1 tensor Q. So you get, so I guess here you need also a K-linear structure to add a subtract morphism. So we have this morphism, but you can also consider this morphism, this minus this. And you take the co-kernel, so you get something here. And what you get, so the co-kernel require abelian structure. The object you get by co-kernel is by definition the tensor product of the A module. Okay. So the idea is that for A module usually on set, for example, when you how to say, for example, M A tensor M prime equal M tensor A M prime. So you can move the A for set from one to the other. And this is exactly the point of this. Okay. Okay. So this require it require an abelian linear structure. Abelian for, in fact, linear additive. No, you don't need linear. Because in abelian is additive. So in additive, every morphic space are group, abelian group. So you can add and subtract. So just abelian. Okay, an abelian structure. Okay. So it is defined. So yeah, I will not spend too much time, but you can define explicitly this way, but maybe you can define with some universal property. So anyway, so what I wanted to say otherwise, but here, yeah. Let me write this color. For this class, we can assume that D is also abelian. Otherwise, um, it is not assumed in the paper, and 68 is understood as follows. So the point is that the explanation they gave is that, so let me take this color. So A is a tensor, A module via the multiplication morphism and M, but M split for it's written, where is it? Proposition 2, 20, 53. Was mentioned there. So split to some delta. So split mean what? There's another morphism from A to A tensor A, such that the composition of the two is the identity of. So by the splitting lemma, A is a direct summand of A tensor A. So it is of the form A0 plus A1 with A0 isomorphic to A. And using that, even if it is not abelian, if I can make sense of that using the fact that A is a direct summand of A tensor. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe because of that, you can make sense to a co-equalizer, where is it? To a co-kernel without abelian structure. So it was not clear to me. That's why I prefer to assume it is abelian, and then there is no problem. So in the paper, it's not abelian, but they use this trick and state that you can make sense to that. I don't know. It was not clear to me, but it's not okay. It's okay. The main tensor category we are interested in are abelian, so you can assume abelian, and we are no problem. You keep in mind that in the paper that so this may require more better understanding. I don't. Does not matter. Okay. Okay. Recall. assume that we can assume that so category D is also abelian. And the note I wanted to state here is that in EGNO book, tensor category are abelian is in definition of tensor. Okay, but not in this paper. Anyway, let me continue. Yes, so maybe there. No, in fact, I'm not sure. Maybe they define that. So, okay, so A, you can make sense of that on the left, on the right, by via this listing. You can make sense of, maybe you can make sense of M1 tensor M2 tensor A tensor A. Maybe you can make sense of that. And maybe this one is just by taking the sub-object of that, the summand of that, which is isomorphic to A. So this is one possibility, but I'm really not sure. So I prefer to not even write that. It was not clear. So we will assume it is abelian for our understanding. Or we will assume it is not abelian, and we will assume that what they are talking about is correct. So we don't have the details for the non-abelian case, but we don't care. Okay, so because most of the tensor category are abelian, even in EGNO book they are abelian. Okay, so okay, next. Okay, so in the previous section, so let's continue. In section 414, we defined an action of G on the K-linear category, dg, so as before, induced by the right action of G on A. So if you remember, we discussed that in the previous section, so there is nothing new here. Induced by the action of J on A via right translation. So this clearly equip dg with the structure of a tensor category with a G action. So it is so as just a K-linear category with G action, which is what was done here. But here we have the tensor structure. So maybe I will add some exercise to prove that this G action is compatible with the tensor structure. Okay. Next. So proposition 419. So okay. So again, a statement about two categories. So the two functor D map to D G from the two categories of Karoubian tensor category over rep G to the two categories of Karoubian tensor category equipped with a G action is inverse to the two functor, the previous two functor from C to C equivalentization. C map to C G. Oof. Remember, we already consider an equivalence F from C to the equivalentization, the disequivalentization of the equivalentization constructed in section 416. Admit, this admit, this one admit a natural tensor structure. So we will explain. Admit a natural tensor structure. Indeed, for X, Y, and C, the object f x tensor Y is so direct sum for G in G F, so this is the previous notation. So an object like that equipped with a module structure. Equipped with the natural module structure. Y, so the tensor product, fx tensor with respect to A, Fy is the direct sum for G in G, fgx tensor fgy in C. So here, be careful. If you just take the tensor without A here, you have to take the direct sum for G and G prime because you have something for X and a sum for Y, and if you combine the two, you have G prime. But because it's a relative tensor product, you only need to consider only G. You can take G equals G prime. So I will leave this as an exercise. So exercise show what permit to replace no. So for usual tensor, we will get direct sum G prime in G, Y give direct sum of G in G only. Yeah, something like that. So this one is also equipped with a module, natural A module structure as well. So this one ici is also equipped with the natural A module structure as well. Okay, and in fact, we will mention something later. Remark 425 may be related to that. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Now, so the equivalence FC from C to the disequivalentization of its equivalentization is natural in C. So we deduce from that the two functor D map to D disequivalentization is left inverse to the two functor C map to C G. And by theorem 418.1, which is what? So 418.1 is equivalentization induce a two equivalence C maps to C equivalentization between the two categories of Kerrovian tensor category equipped with an action of G and the two categories of Kerrovian tensor category over rep G. So by theorem 418, I just read, the two functor C maps to C G is a two equivalence. Consequently, its left inverse is also a right inverse. Okay. Okay. So I don't want to explain further. So definition. So now we get this as a definition of disequivalentization. So tensor category D index G is called the disequivalentization of D, or equivalently the fiber category. Remember the notation, the new notation. So we will use the fiber notation. We will often use the notation the tensor with respect to E instead of So we already explained this notation in section 410. The meaning of this notation in the term fiber category were explained in section 410. Okay. Time is it? Almost the time for the pause, but still a few minutes. So okay. So now you can also have something regarding the fusion. In fact, you can deduce something regarding fusion as before. So by theorem, so we can reformulate theorem 483 regarding fusion in this case. Just replace C by D index G and C power G by D, and you get the same thing. So the VZ equivalentization is a fusion category if and only if D is a fusion category and the functor rev G to D is fully faithful. So as I said, it is the exact reformulation of that with D is replaced by C, DG replace C, and D replace C power G. Okay. So next subsection, déséquivalentization of Brady tensor categories. Déséquivalentization of braided tensor category. So now, what about the braided structure? Okay, so you take D to be a braided tensor category over this Tanakian category red G. So as explained in the previous section, the previous section 424, so the déséquivalentization is a tensor category with respect to the tensor product defined before. Now, what about the braiding? The dééquivalentization dg equal, so two notation for the same thing, is a tensor category with respect to the tensor product defined in 68. So this one here. And now what about the braiding structure? So proposition 422. So it admits a braiding structure. Admit a unique, in fact, unique braiding satisfying some commuting diagram. Braiding so M1, M2, M2, M1 such that for all M1, M2 in the G, the following diagram commute. The following diagram commute. So M1 tensor M2. Then you can go to M1 tensor M2 with respect to A. Oh, here you have the braiding M2 tensor M1. So here, this map is given by some universal property related to that. So here I did not write the universal property, but yeah, the map is here. So from M1 tensor M2 to this one. This morphism is this morphism. No, it's not. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So you have that. Here you have the braiding in D. So this is okay, this is okay. Here you have also for the same as before, but same as here, but with M1, M1 and M2, or M2, M1. And here you said, so there is a unique, so you can go with a unique thing here, such that this equals this. So this is a braiding, a unique possible braiding satisfying this commuting diagram. Okay. And this is the first point of the proposition. And the second point is after the pause. Okay. Okay. Is it recording or not? Recording paused.
Yeah.
Okay. So the second point of this proposition is the following. It's about two categories. Same thing with two categories. The usual two category sentence, but with braided tensor. So the functor D map to D G from the two categories of Karoubian braided tensor category over rep G to the two categories I don't know how many times we will have to write this two category sentence, maybe 9 times, 8 times, maybe. Caribbean breaded tensor category. Tensor category equipped with a G action is inverse to the two functor. So same as before, but with the braided structure. Okay. So proof. What about existence and uniqueness of the braiding? So the uniqueness follow from universal property which can define the relative tensor product. So you can see it as an exercise. Uniqueness exercise follow immediate. This is immediate from the universal property of the relative tensor product. Okay. So what about existence? Existence. So by theorem 418, we can identify D with the equivalentization of C for some braided tensor category C. By theorem 418.2, we can assume D equals CG for some braided tensor category C. Then the tensor equivalence between C and the disequivalentization of this equivalentization induce a braid structure on the index G. So you get, in fact, automatically you take the braided structure, you put the braided structure on the index G from the braided structure of C automatically. So then the tensor equivalence F from C to G. So C section 416 and the proof of proposition 419. So this induces a braided structure on the index G. So C is identified. So this is exactly what we wrote here. C is identified with that. That is identified with that. We have a braided structure here. So by the identification, we have a braided structure here. We already know that you have the theorem 418.2 correspond to that. So you can get a braided structure. So you get the analog here. Some sense. So you get the braided structure. It takes the one of C. So in 4.18.2, let me come back. Very fine. Yeah. Let G be a finite group. Equivalentization induces two equivalence CG, C to CG between the two categories of Kerrovian braided tensor category equipped with action to the two categories of Kerrovian braided tensor category, So it's okay. C, CG, yeah. So you need, as an exercise, to verify there is no problem. So verify. The commutativity of the above diagram. Commutativity of the able diagram. So 69, it was called, where is it? Here, yeah, it's 69. 69. And the hint is to write, take mi to be the image of some xi, xi in C. Okay, so that was for first point. Uniqueness existence, okay. So what about the second point? So it's more or less the same idea, the same argument as before, but you just put braided by construction of the braided structure of the G, the two functeurs. That map to that is left inverse to the two functeurs, these two functeurs, and by theorem 418.1, 418.2, I would say, not 1. Mistake. We check. So it's a proof so just before 423. Yeah, 418.2. They wrote 418.1, but it will be the 2 because this is a 2, which is about the braided case. The later is a 2 equivalence. So it's left inverse. It's also right inverse. So this is basically the same thing as before, the same sentence as before, but you should to add braided, and you put 2 here. And it's so the same that I suspect they copy and paste, so that's why I put 1 here, because it's just a copy and paste of the same sentence. In the previous, where is it? There, yeah. Same sentence. Okay. Okay. So remark. So you can prove the existence directly. So it was done by in some reference, but in this paper they did it in fact with respect to the equivalentization. So I was not completely wrong when last time I said that. So this equivalentization is defined with respect to the equivalentization. At least for the breeding structure, this is what we did in this paper, in this proof. The existence is you use this identification, so you use equivalentization. You can make that direct without using equivalentization, I guess. So for direct existence in position, like the last proposition, point one. See this reference. So due to Pareigis 1995 proposition, wow, not even able to read. Wait. Two and Muger 2000, Lema, Witten, and Kirill Ostrich 2002, theorem wanted. Especially the figure 6 from the proof of this theorem, but it's okay. Next. So the tensor functor and so what will we explain in this section? What about that? Yeah. Here we will talk about the free A-module functor. So when you have an object of D, you can make, so not every object of D is A-module. But you can get a functor from D to D index G by you make the tensor by, we know that A act on D. So you make A tensor X, from X you map X to A tensor X. And A tensor X is automatically A module because A is an algebra object, so A tensor A map to A. And so you get A module like that. And we will discuss, we will see the link between this free A module functor from D to D equivalentization and the link with the forgetful functor from C equivalentization to C. We will consider their right adjoint. So in fact, we will see that yeah, we will discuss that. But let me do that. So let D be a tensor category over where T by definition D index G is the category of A module. The category of A module in D equipped with the tensor product defined before. The tensor product defined for us with the of the co-equalizer, usual construction in the abelian case, and for the paper, using the fact that the multiplication morphism split, which we do not require abelian step. So this A is the regular algebras. Therefore, function as already mentioned. So now the free A module functor. As follow. So free from D to D index G, X map to A tensor X. So again, let me recall again the meaning of this tensor here. B is a tensor category over red G. So you have A is in red G, which by definition map to that. Here you have to that. It's what is D. I forget full function. So by definition. So this induce an action of A. You take, as I said, you take the image up to this of A, you have this composition, you get an object here. So you have a tensor structure here. So it makes sense to define this way. So this tensor is not the tensor of D, because A is not an object of D, but you can consider the image of that here. You have an object, and this is just the image of A tensor in D. Okay. So this is equation 7. So this free A module functor has naturally a structure of tensor functor. Naturally acquiert I don't know how to pronounce.
Yeah,
Acquire. Acquire the structure of a tensor functor. So you can see that as an exercise again if you want to check. Moreover, it's a Brady tensor functor if D is a Brady tensor category. Moreover, if D is a braided tensor category over red G, this tensor functor is braided. You can see this as an exercise for both. tensor functor. Breed. Yeah. Okay. So now, let's come back to C. So remember, we define something. So the free. Now, what about that? This one is just the forgetful functor. And we will explain in what sense it is related to this free. So on the other hand, if C is a tensor respectively braided tensor category equipped with an action of G, with a G action, then the forgetful functor I from CG to C. So you remember that a G equivalent object is just a pair of an object in C and a collection of isomorphism. So this just forget about the collection of isomorphism, is naturally not every object in C appear in the pair, only the C which are, for the action of G, is invariant up to isomorphism, is naturally and satisfying maybe some extra committing term, is naturally a tensor respectively braided tensor functor. Okay, so same exercise if you like. So naturally tensor, braided tensor. Okay. Now we can identify. Now we know we identify D with the equivalentization of Z. Now we just take D equal like that, and let F the usual defined before the equivalence be the tensor equivalence constructed in the proof of proposition 419. Okay, so we have these two functors, the forgetful functor and the free functor, and the link between we have F also. So now we will play with all these functors to get following result. So the tensor functor following result without proof. In fact, it was written without proof in the paper, so I suspect that the proof is similar to what was done in the Kellinar case before. So this functor, so you have phi. So you start, you identify this and this. Okay, start from that, which is D. You go there, C, and then you apply F. You go there. So you have that. In fact, you go from D to D index G exactly as that. In fact, we state that they are the same. So the tensor functor is canonically isomorphic to the free tensor functor, the free A module functor, to the tensor functor 70, the free A module functor. There is no proof in the paper, but I suspect no proof in the paper. So, guess it is like for section 419. But they provide a reformulation. The following reformulation. Reformulation. So, if you also identify, so we identify this and this, but if you also identify this and this, then you can reformulate in the following easier way. So under the identification CP via the equivalence F from C to DG, the forgetful functor from CG to C coincide as a tensor functor with the free A module functor. So in fact, these two functors, forgetful and free, are essentially the same. Coincide as tensor functor with the free A module functor. So the free A module functor, you just make this is this functor, and the forgetful functor, you just forget the collection of isomorphism. And they are essentially the same. Up to this identification. But remember that we also consider the right adjoint of this functor. Remark 425. Recall that both the functors split from B to G and the forgetful functor from CG to C admit right adjoint. Right adjoint. So the right adjoint of Pri is the forgetful functor from DG to G, from DG to D, so forgetting the A module structure, and the right adjoint of phi is the induction. Remember, the induction functor int from C to C power G. Yeah. So they are also essentially same. And section 419. Okay. But be careful, in fact, even if this functor 3 and functor 5 are tensor functor, the tensor property of the functor is not invariant by adjoint. So the right adjoint, their right adjoint are not tensor functor. So this is well known when we consider the forgetful functor for the Drinfeld center. The forgetful functor from the Drinfeld center to the category is a tensor functor, but the right adjoint, which is the induction functor, is not a tensor functor. So this is really well known. That the adjoint is not, tensor structure is not invariant by adjoint. But they are, in fact, what they're called pseudo-tensor in the following sense. The right adjoint are, so this right adjoint are pseudo-tensor functor. In the sense, we will not go into the details, but in the sense of Beilinson-Drinfeld. Beilinson-Drinfeld, 2004, section 115, 116, 2. So the pseudo will not go into the details of the definition, but in this specific case, the pseudo-tensor functor is as follows. The pseudo-tensor structure on the induction from C to CG is given by the morphism. So we have a morphism from that. So and X tensor and Y to and of X tensor Y, X and Y is C, as follows. So you take, so C, there is a G action on C. So this G action is represented by a isomorphism F and XG, etc. But if you take two groups, so we identify the isomorphism with the element of the group. So you take two alpha beta in G. So alpha beta, alpha is Fg, for example, and beta is Fg prime. So you take two. If you want to use the notation as before, you have the G action given by this isomorphism Fg, but you identify this isomorphism with the element of the group. Simplifies the notation. So alpha beta in G, so identify with G and G. Okay, so you take two elements like that, which are different. Then remember that this is defined as a direct sum of something involving that. So it's a direct sum for G and G of FG or something. So you have this component. So the component alpha x tensor beta y here, component here, map to, if alpha is different for beta, they map to, so it, the component, so map to 0. Wait a minute. So 2, 2, 7. Anyway, so the component is sent to 0. And for alpha equal beta, this component is mapped to this. Okay. So this is so here. So here you see if it is different, two elements of the are different, you get 0. If they are the same, you get what is expected. And in fact, this is related to something we mentioned before. Remember, before we said that we have some doubt about something, and we say it's maybe related to remark 225. So related to page 91. Exercise on in the proof of proposition 419. Here you have two elements, but you only consider when they're the same. And we, in 419, remember, same thing. You have two elements, but you only consider when you make the tensor product with respect to A, consider only where they are the same. And we said, see this remark. And so it may be related. I'm not 100% sure it's related, but I said 80% sure it's related. But you see, this is not a tensor. It's a pseudo tensor, but not in some sense. We don't care. But it's not tensor if the group is non-trivial. Because if the group is non-trivial, you can have two different things which map to 0. So you don't have this map to this in general. But if the group is trivial, it's okay, it's a tensor. So in particular, if the group is non-trivial, the morphism. So 71, which is this one. Morphism 71 is not an isomorphism, is not an isomorphism, so, and is not a tensor functor. Okay, so I will stop here. So next week, we will start with the section on dimension, which I want to say is maybe a little bit more interesting, according to me. So, okay, but we will stop here because it's time. Okay, so see you next week.